Welcome to the hunt. Welcome to the hunt. Oh, I gotta get my microphone turned around here. Hello and welcome everybody. Bloodborne is out, my friends. You can download it now. I can play it now. I have played 20 hours of this goddamn video game, and spoilers, it's really fucking good. If you were disappointed by Dark Souls 2 like I was, if you wanted them to recapture the magic of Dark Souls, they have done it. This is that video game. It is a video game called Bloodborne. My impressions are up on Kotaku right now. If you'd like to see some more specific looks at that game and see it in a written format, you can do that right now. It's on the front page at Kotaku.com. Got a lot of brand new people watching the channel today. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I play a lot of different things. You can check out a bunch of my stuff at youtube.com/PatrickKlipik. But rather than worry about talking about what I do, we should just jump right into it. We are not... Oh, actually, I need to do... I gotta do one thing really quick. No, I'm not gonna. Okay, so we're gonna start a new game. We're not gonna worry about the fact that I've had a character that is 20 hours in. We're gonna start from the opening area of the game and walk through what you might have come to expect.
The home of blood ministration. You need only unravel its mystery. But where's an outsider like yourself to begin? Easy, with a bit of yarn and blood of your own. But first, you'll need a contract.
So, I have a character already in here. I've been playing a character named Odetta in all of the Souls games so far, and I named her after a character in The Dark Tower, the Stephen King series, and she's older in this one. Even though obviously the Souls games take place in different eras and across, they're not exactly in the same universe. I could just kind of feel like Odetta transcends time and space and game, and so she's an older woman in Bloodborne, but we're gonna go ahead and name this. I like this. I like someone in the chat saying Odetta Jr. So we're gonna go with that. Odetta. Whoop. My friend. Junior, and we'll put a little period off that. Male. We'll just go to... I guess we're young if we're Odetta Jr. Origin. So these are essentially... hold on, let me turn off my camera here for a second. So these are sort of your classes, but if you've played a Souls game before, you know that there's really no class. You can scale your character and change the stats, and if you figure out that what you started with is not what you want to go with later on, you can happily do that, and it's no big deal. So we're going to go ahead and just go with military veteran, because that version starts with a little more in skill and strength. They've simplified the stats in this game to some degree. So souls have now become blood echoes. Vitality is HP, endurance is stamina. Strength and skill are essentially the same stat, but then apply to different types of weapons. So if you're equipping a weapon that scales along skill, you're going to want to go in that. If you want to scale with a weapon that goes along with strength, you want to go with that. And blood and tinge and arcane are basically the same idea as skill and strength, but applied to weapons. So the only one that really makes a huge difference is waste of skin. You are nothing, talentless, you shouldn't have been born, and you basically start with like way fewer base level stats. So we're gonna go with military veteran. Appearance, you know, you've got a lot of things you can mess with here. We're not gonna worry about it too much, but obviously folks like to get in here and do some nonsense in the appearances. Mine is, you know, an older woman, Odetta, and we'll jump into Odetta later. But you know, I don't want to spoil 20 hours into the game right off the bat. I'll give fair warning if we're going to check out some other parts of the game to kind of give you a sense of some of the other stuff that's out there. But let's go ahead and hit that. We'll finalize our contract, and I'll bring up my camera again. So Adium says, Odetta Jr. going to be a male. Yeah, I think Odetta Jr. is a male. Odetta is a female because it corresponds with the character in the Dark Tower. And I also tend to play women in video games just because I live life as a dude. I might as well live my virtual life as something else. If you have any questions for me about Bloodborne, feel free to toss them at me. One thing I will say is you're going to notice up here, up front, that the loading screens are long. And they've already issued a statement saying that the developers from Software are going to be working on a patch to address the game's lengthy loading screens, and hopefully those will come down a little bit.
Now, let's begin the transfusion. Oh, don't you worry. Whatever happens, you may think it all a mere bad dream.
Getter 404 says, there's no longer a stat governing magic. This game does not appear to have magic. There does not seem to be anything in that sense. You are basically assigning a gun to your left hand and assigning a sword or other type of weapon to your right hand. So in terms of being able to cast spells and fireballs and things of that nature, which have been part of the Souls games, going all the way back to Demon Souls, that does not appear to be part of Bloodborne. I've not found anything like that so far, anyway. Siege TVW, first next-gen game, not to disappoint. I will say if you're on the fence about buying a new piece of hardware, if you've maybe just played on the PC or mostly been playing on PS3 and 360 and are like, you know, none of these new games that are coming out really justify the expense of buying an expensive new piece of kit. Bloodborne feels not just like another one of like a new game with a fresh coat of paint or a little slicker or a higher resolution or a better frame rate. Like, this truly feels like a transcendent new game that maybe, you know, could have been made on previous hardware, but looks friggin' incredible on the PlayStation 4. Also, for Souls fans, tell me if you don't think that looks like the lizard creature from Dark Souls who rises up halfway through. W. Matthew, do you like using your gun or melee weapon more? You basically, you know, that's kind of a tough question to answer because you're using them for different things. But I found that my melee weapon is sort of, you know, doing a lot of the heavy lifting. And then the gun is used as crowd control and also as a means of staggering enemies. And I can explain a little bit what staggering enemies is once I actually have access to weapons. So, continuing in the Souls tradition, when you start the game, I don't have any weapons. I'm basically naked. I can roll. And there's a giant beast over here. Let's. I wasn't able to beat him the first time I did this, for a good reason, because I don't have any weapons. But let's see what happens. Nope. Just getting wrecked. So that's a charge attack that I'm doing with R2. I'm also unable to heal right now. I do absolutely no damage to this thing. I can keep hitting him as much as I want. I feel like it must be possible to beat him, and the game probably gives you something special if you're able to pull it off. But that is not going to mean me right now. So, the one thing, if you've played a Souls game in the past that you might be noticing off the bat is, holy shit, this game is fast. And that is far and away the most incredible thing I've noticed about Bloodborne relative to the other Souls games, is explicitly that it's just extremely fast. And in addition to that, your previous strategies in Souls games are really not going to apply in the way that you might want them to. So I was a sword and shield, meat and potatoes kind of guy playing those Souls games in the past, and it has absolutely not been the case of how you can play Bloodborne. You don't get shields. In fact, the one time you find a shield in the game, the description ends up making fun of the fact that shields even exist and makes fun of you for wanting to use it. It makes sort of a passive-aggressive joke about literally shields being a passive item. This is a game in which you are trying to move around fast, quickly, and using dodge to your advantage. So, an abandoned doll. Creepy. These are your storefronts. actually think I'm going to move my... let's go ahead and move my camera. Ooh, that's not what we want to do. Move this to the corner. And that looks better. Now you can see the soul count. Also, that reveals something else happening in the game. So, you got the souls count in the upper right, and then below that is something called insight, which I'll explain a little bit more of when it actually becomes relevant. So once you've died, you enter into sort of this hub area where you're going to access a lot of things in the game. So these little guys on the ground give you access to your first sets of weapons. The one that has been my bread and butter is the saw cleaver. There's also the hunter axe and the threaded cane. You get access to all sorts of other weapons as you continue to go through the game. But I'm going to go ahead and pick up the saw cleaver because I'm used to the saw cleaver. And then you get access to a firearm. So you got your pistol and your blunderbuss. I have really enjoyed the blunderbuss. I want to show you something that may only be appreciable to hardcore Souls fans that have dealt through a lot of games with bad inventories. But let's see. So if I hit R3 in these sections, you can just nicely go down and see what every little thing on the menu does. It explains everything in like just really nice detail, so if you're confused about how any of this stuff on the menus work, you don't have to worry about it, and you can just kind of make your way over. Chuchacabra? Sorry if I'm not getting your name right. Is the stat system still convoluted as all hell? It's still, you know, it's a stat system, but it's not as confusing as in the past games. It seems to be a lot more straightforward than what I've experienced in previous Souls games. So we're going to go ahead and equip them. What's nice is that it's a really streamlined... some people are pointing out that the descriptor stuff is in Dark Souls 2. I know, it's just, it gets me excited because it wasn't in Dark Souls 1 or Demon Souls. So I'll go ahead and equip these. I love the inventory system in Bloodborne. It's just really fast, really effective. You can kind of get through things really quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and equip both those. Obviously, as in previous games, you can kind of cycle between things pretty fast by hitting right and left on the D-pad. If you run around, these are like all the tooltips. It's a pretty little place. The art direction in this game is fantastic. You know, technically speaking, it is the most competent game that From Software has made yet, and I have hopes that the game is going to get patched in the future to address a little bit of the concerns. There was some hitching that happens in one of the areas of the game that was a little bothersome, but I have not found this game to have anything like Blighttown or previous areas in Souls games in which you have just... you know, frame rates that are heading down into the teens or single digits. Amplified as Patrick, difference between a roll and the dash and a reason to use which in what situation. So the difference between the roll and the dash is actually pretty explicit in that you can only roll if you are not locked on. If you are locked on to an enemy, you cannot roll at all. And that's just the distinguishing factor the game makes between the two of those. I'll actually be able to demonstrate that in a second when I'm at an enemy. Tradic, can you pick up on the other two starter weapons you didn't pick later on? Yes, you're not making a commitment to any of the weapons, despite the fact that you have to pick one at the start. You pick the one you want, or the one you want to experiment with, and then you don't have to worry about that. You'll be able to easily buy all the weapons in the game, no matter what you start with. So if you end up not liking what you've got, so you'll see here, if I dash when I'm locked on, I can't roll. And then if I let go, now I can roll. Oh, got myself locked in a corner here. This is not how you want to start. Okay, got that done. Big thing you might have just noticed there, and I realize we're going fast, but there's a lot happening in this game at once, a lot of details to point out for hardcore Souls fans. So you might have seen that werewolf, or whatever you want to call it, had blue eyes. So sometimes when you die, your blood stain will actually be on the ground. And then sometimes when you die, your blood stain will actually be imbued in an enemy. And in order to get your blood echoes / souls back, you're going to actually have to defeat that enemy in order to reacquire them. So that was an instance where, because of his blue eyes, I knew that I was going to have to kill him in order to get those blood echoes back. So sometimes, you know, let's say you get into a busy area and you fight a guy and you die and you want to get those souls back, you can't just run through and grab them. You're actually going to have to murder that dude in order to get them back. So now we've gotten access to health. So health are these health vials that you hit triangle to use. It's different than the Estus flasks in Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. So these are consumable items that you can both purchase and pick up in the environment. Lots of enemies drop them, so it's very easy to store them up. And one of the things that's really nice is when you hit your cap of how many health vials and bullets you can store, which at the beginning of the game is 20 and 20. If you collect more of them, they automatically go into storage. And then when you die, the game automatically fills you up to 20 and 20. So rather than forcing you to go back and store up more items, because who doesn't want to start with 20 bullets or 20 health items, the game just says, fine, we'll pull it out of your storage and let you just kind of get right to it. So we're heading out to the main first area of Yharnam, which is the city you're in, but you know, like in any Souls game, you will end up branching out to a lot of areas that go far beyond the city walls. And similar to Dark Souls, I would say, the level design is very organic in structure. Anything that you see is something you're eventually going to get to. I actually can look at that bridge right now and know exactly what that bridge is referring to in a different part of the environment. So even though there are like levels, so to speak, the actual structure of the game is much more like Dark Souls, in which you are unlocking lots of secrets and, you know, seeing different areas and then being able to fast travel between them at different points as you unlock more. So a lot of this game is dodging around enemies from their big swinging attacks. I can hit R1 to do a fast attack. I can hit R2 to do a more of a long range attack. I can hold R2 and do something that's called a charge attack. Now, charge attacks both function as being extremely powerful and then also allow you to stagger enemies. And I'll explain what staggering is in a second. I'm not sure if I can actually pull it off with my current level, but I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. So if I wake this guy up, basically staggering allows you to pull off this game's version of the backstab. So let's see if I can pull it off. Okay. So I can't do it yet. I'll be able to pull off a backstab with my other character, but it's possible that I have not leveled up enough to actually be able to stagger them. But basically what happens is that they kind of fall down to one knee. You go up to them, you gut them with your sword of choice or your weapon of choice, and you cause an unholy amount of damage on them at once. And unlike Dark Souls 2, you have invincible frames when you are doing the backstabs, so you don't have to worry about you know, getting stabbed because you try to go for the additional attack points. I still don't know what that is. You guys hear that scream? I've heard that scream. I have no idea what it references. It is clearly some unholy creature in the world. I have not found him yet. So if you're familiar with the Souls games, lamps are equivalent to bonfires. One thing I do like, hold on, let's go ahead and equip our other items. Let's see, a bottle of cocktail and a notebook. The notebook is how you write things in the environment. So in addition to reading notes that you find, you can look up notes you've made. We'll go ahead and make one. I do like that I can do, let's see, have audience with, places things. I think it's down here. Yes. So I can put that down. Have audience with a bonfire. I can't rate it, but if you see it in the world, feel free to rate that for me. I like those guys. They kind of come up out of the ground and they hold your note up, and it's just goofy. So basically, those act as your checkpoints if you're unfamiliar with these games. So when you die, you spawn back into those areas, and then a lot of the games, what makes it stressful is the fact that you are running in between those bonfires / lamps. I'm going to keep calling them bonfires probably. So pebbles. Pebbles are really useful. So we'll be able to see them here. You'll see there are two enemies there. There's a group of them falling, walking forward to the town square up above. You're going to want to use pebbles all the time, because pebbles allow you to distract enemies and bring them out into the world and allow you to fight enemies one-on-one rather than actually having to worry about fighting, you know, a group of 6 or 7 of them. One part of my weapon I haven't shown here yet is that, so obviously we have R1, R2, and then charge attack, but beyond that, we have what's called transformation, and that's where you hit L1. And that allows this weapon in particular to become something long range. And you can chain all that stuff together. So I can hit R1, L1, R1, and that allows me to, you know, start off with a quick short attack, and then while the enemy is stunned, I'm actually able to transition over into a long range attack. I'm going to let those guys pass by because even though I've played this area a million times, I'm not necessarily used to fighting them at level 0. So, we saw this area before. I can go ahead and operate this. Open it up. And booyakasha, we now have access to this little starting area, which allows us to kind of come here, not have to go up there by the lamp, and it can explore a different part of the city without having to waste time. This guy, not good. Bad for business. Bad for surviving business. Fire does not seem to do very much. Let's see. To take him out at level 0 is a bit of a problem. See, now he blocked it, which is not great. Now he just has an enormously wide reach. And he moves fast. He also just hugged me there. And then slit my throat. So, we're going to run away. One of the things you'll notice... One of the things you'll notice is that I just died. DJ Hush, invincibility frames. It basically means that even though your character is in the world and being attacked, you actually don't suffer any damage. So when you do a backstab or a front stab in this game, which is essentially an ultra powerful attack that is a result of staggering an enemy, even though enemies are attacking you at the same time, they won't count as hits. Now granted, you might come out of the animation and then an enemy might be able to hit you in the face as you come out of the animation, but while you are in the animation, you are not actually going to suffer any damage. That enemy is a classic Souls creature that you run into early, think you want to take on, and actually turns out you want to run the hell away and come back later, and then beat the shit out of them and feel really good about it. So as Netherscourge points out, mid-animation vulnerability, or invulnerability, may be a better way of putting that. As people are seeing in the chat, the loading screens are not fantastic, especially as you die multiple times, as you're trying to do runs to get back to bosses. It's extremely frustrating. Right now, we're just going to kind of keep exploring because I can't actually level up. I have not unlocked that ability yet. So we can kind of explore and not feel too bad. So that's one of my early pro tips, is that if you are new to these games, don't feel too bad. You can't level up until you encounter a boss for the first time. So feel free to kind of wander around and see what's going on and don't worry about it. These pink lamps signify that there's an NPC.
Are you that outsider? Well, sorry, but I don't want anything to do with you. Trot along, will ya?
JWL 1092. What's the shortcut situation like? Tons of shortcuts. You are unlocking shortcuts all the time in this game. It is a shortcut bonanza, in that you'll just have access to all sorts of ways to get around in a way that feels very, very Dark Souls. Feels like there are more lamps / bonfires in this game and more shortcuts in this game than I feel like there were in Dark Souls. Feels a little more like Dark Souls 2 in that capacity. So there's a lot of NPCs you can talk to. This game starts on the night of the hunt, so clearly they don't want anything to do with us. We're gonna have to run away because there are people coming up from behind us. Oh. That dude does not care. He is just going to be real slow about getting up. Now I got to remember I have to recollect all my items because this is my second time playing. Bonestone shards or bloodstone shard, which I just picked up there. Those are used to upgrade your weapons. So. You'll collect those and you know, use them to make your weapons more powerful as the game goes along. One thing I'm not sure if I was actually able to show here, so you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, which is my health, it's a little red meter. Oh, I've got a guy coming after me. Too many for me to show it off quite yet. But why don't we do it for the guy over here? Okay, here we go. So you see that guy's attacks me? And then as I hit him, I'm gaining my health back. And even though I just had about a third of my health took off, I actually was able to regain the vast majority of it. So the pacing of this game is such that often in the Souls games, at least the way I played them, I would often get hit, walk away, and then focus on healing. Whereas in Bloodborne, you are sort of actively punished for engaging in the game in that way, where it's encouraged for you to get in the action, keep attacking the enemies, and focus on fighting them head on, and not worrying so much about the fact that you might get hit, because even if you get hit, you're going to be able to gain back a ton of that health. So that comes into play often, most categorically with bosses, where you know a boss might have a huge sweeping hit, and that takes off a bunch of your health. You might actually, rather than backing away, want to hit them a couple of times. So we're just gonna get right into it. I'm hoping the fact that I've played this game a bunch is going to allow me to survive something that I died 1,000 times before. Whoa! Yep. Go ahead and pop some of those pills. Yeah, you were going to quickly find that in Bloodborne, you are going to curse guys with guns like that just kind of hang out at the top. But one of the things you want to try get good at is doing things like that. Is like just find a way to stun them so you can get a chance to sort of like refocus yourself. And you can dodge bullets. So you know it's not, you know, sort of a foregone conclusion that just because a guy aims something at you, you're gonna have to worry about the fact that that's gonna take damage on. And also you know you're gonna use guns to interrupt attacks. So you can use that if like an enemy's coming at you. Maybe you don't think you're gonna have enough time to pull off the attack you were setting up. Then you have this opportunity to use the gun, whack them with that, and you're going to be okay. So that's another. We'll kind of keep walking through some of the items that come up. They have different names in Bloodborne. So Cold-Blooded Dew, or Cold Blood Dew, is used to gain blood echoes, which is the equivalent of souls. So you want to save those till you go back to the Hunter's Dream, cash those in, and then use those to level up. I think I missed an item down there. If you're just tuning in, if you've never watched one of my streams before, look at me dodge like a real clever guy right there. Thanks for tuning in. If you're looking for more substantial impressions of Bloodborne, we are playing the intro of the game. That is, you know, I have played 20 hours of it, but we're starting from scratch with Odetta Jr. And working our way through the opening areas. But you can read my impressions up on Kotaku.com. I imagine a bunch of you might be coming from there. Hope you enjoyed that. There'll be a full review coming in the next week and a half or so when I'm able to get around and finish the rest of the game. But definitely wanted to chime in with my thoughts so far. I do have a character, obviously, from 20 hours in, but I didn't want to start with that and spoil things that are potentially a third of the way through the game. So we are starting from the very beginning. So we're going to encounter one of our first big enemies over here right now. It's this guy. He has got a big old... These guys took a long time for me to come to grips with. They're fast, they can hit you a bunch of times, and what you should do is just throw Molotov cocktails at them. Because until you've leveled up a bit and are able to tackle them... Oh yeah. Hey buddy, get off of me. Get out of here. Alright, so we got more Molotov cocktails. Got a torch now, so let's go ahead and equip that torch. This game is extremely dark, so I found that I've been equipping torches quite a bit in order to see more of what's going on with me. And frankly, there'll be times where I just don't feel like I need access to my gun, and so I just kind of whip out the torch and move on with my life. These are some of my favorite, not difficult, but super creepy enemies. And even though they're really simple to take out, they can really mess with your day, because once they get a handle on you, they're able to peck your eyes and get like 3 or 4 jabs in all at once. So oil urn, we'll go ahead and pull that up. I haven't used that often, but basically it's a stat boost for your fire-based weapon. So I can throw an oil urn on an enemy, then throw a Molotov cocktail on an enemy, and I'm going to get a damage boost as a result. I have found that Bloodborne brings a little bit of the creepy back that wasn't as present as much in Dark Souls, and especially not Dark Souls 2. I think Demon Souls is a... well, that's freaking out. That is not... You're not supposed to do that. I thought, you know, Demon Souls is an extremely creepy game. Lots of sections that were very much influenced by a lot of classic horror films. You know, definitely like really high in atmosphere. And Dark Souls had some sections like that too. Dark Souls 2 kind of got away from a lot of it. But Bloodborne brings back the horror elements, I think, you know, in full force. Shit. I'm used to having so much more strength, so I'm being like far less careful on a lot of these enemies than I normally would be. Let's see if we can take these guys out. Like that. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. It's a combo shot. It's a combo shot. So you can also use the torch as an enemy, or as a weapon rather, on enemies, which can be definitely useful. There are some enemies that react differently to fire, which is something to keep in mind. I won't exactly say how that works or pans out. I want to try and keep as much of this as a surprise for folks, so sort of deliberately not getting into certain elements of the game, because I know that lots of people are going to be playing it and wanting to find that stuff out for themselves. Of course, it's tough for me to play this section and not go in the directions I know you have to go because I've already played it. These guys suck. Don't fight them. I'm not going to. I'm going to go ahead and just avoid them and kind of look around. Make sure I'm grabbing the items that I need. Or rather, the items that I've picked up in my previous playthrough. I'm not sure how to stream this game in the future, given that, you know, I kind of need to pick up from where I left off with my current character, but I also want to, you know, stream and talk to folks, so... I might do like a second playthrough that I'm doing for streaming purposes while I'm kind of pushing forward on my current playthrough of the game for review. So I can kind of get a sense, now we're up here on the top side, and get a better sense of what's going on here. The draw distance is great in this game. The art style is just unbelievable. Like, I just think it looks tremendous. I mean, like, that is just a gorgeous shot. Like, that could just be wallpaper. I just... love the way it looks. So as with like other Souls games, you know, if you haven't played these before, like roll into crates. There's not usually things hidden behind them, but there's often stuff like, well, I guess what I mean to say is they're not stuff hidden inside of them, but there will often be stuff hidden in them. You know, sort of like cleverly hidden behind that stuff. So that's down into another section that we're not going to quite go to first. I think we might make our way over to the boss, so we can die, but then I'll be able to unlock leveling up and show a little bit more about what's happening in the Hunter's Dream section. Plus, it'll just make these runs a little more fruitful, because if we're actually leveling up, you know, we're working towards progressing in the game. Highly recommend that when you play this game that you encounter all of the NPCs that you can. So again, they're you know, marked off with this little light. Nothing but superior beings here. These people are all having a party on the night of the hunt. And when folks like myself are out trying to protect them from the plague that has stricken Yarnum, and no appreciation for me. No appreciation. I'll just drink my LaCroix and not worry about it. Folks in the chat saying, man, it sucks this game is only on PS4. I'd love it to be on other platforms. That seems highly unlikely. Unlike Microsoft, Sony does not have a real reason to ever think about allowing these games to show up on the PS4, on the PC. They don't have a PC platform to support. So this is, you know, I can't imagine that Bloodborne is going to be on anything but the PlayStation 4 going forward. If you're interested in a Souls-type game on the PC, you're probably going to have to stick with the PC and play Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. I would love, love, love to see Sony eventually go and give Demon Souls the remastered treatment. I think if, you know, when I see games like God of War 3, I didn't look at that game and go, that game looks technically inferior. I really need them to go make that 1080p 60 frames a second, which is, if you're into those games, I don't mean to say that you shouldn't be excited for the remastered version of God of War 3. I just, you know, that was a technically proficient game that ran well, that is still perfectly serviceable on the PlayStation 3, whereas Demon Souls is a game that could really use a fresh coat of paint. That game at 1080p 60 frames a second would be, hell, I would take 1080p 30 frames a second, and I would be extremely happy about that. Oh yeah, there's an enemy there. One of the cooler, kind of weird enemies that's over here. Take out my torch. Slowly make my way over. What's this guy doing? Hey, buddy. Seems like you got a gun. Can I take that from you? Hey-ya! Thanks for the bullets, buddy. I realized that you probably wanted to keep those, but I took them from you. I took them from you. So we picked up another item there. The Pungent Blood Cocktail, which basically is sort of another weapon or item that you can use to distract various creatures. I haven't had a whole lot of reason to use it, but I don't know about you. Be curious what the chat has to say about this. But when you guys play these games and you get all these other extra items like poison darts and things like that, do you end up using them? I find that I tend to stick with the basics. I heal myself and don't worry about anything else. And I don't use some of the more specialized items at all. Probably to my detriment. You know, things that like allow you to give your weapon sort of a fire boost. Like, I probably should use that stuff, but I don't nearly enough. Alright, so we've gone ahead and unlocked a second shortcut. So you'll see this is the starting area. Oh, we've got another person we can talk to.
Oh, you must be a hunter. And
Waffle Defender, how far into the game do you have to be to get to turn into a werewolf? So, truth be told, I'm what I feel to be about a third through the game, maybe a little bit more. And I have unlocked the ability to turn into a beast. But basically, it's sort of an affliction in which, you know, like when you get poisoned in the game, there's a meter that appears at the top. Some enemy died somewhere. There's a meter that appears at the top. When that fills up, you get poisoned. So there's something similar in which if you fill a meter up with beast, you can turn into a beast. I have not been able to get that meter full. I don't know how you do that. I'm not sure if that requires you specializing. I'm not sure if there's a trick to it that I haven't figured out yet. Part of the reason that I didn't file a review today, part of the reason I didn't work to finish the game ahead of this game's release was that I want to watch what you guys do, I want to watch what the community does, and I want to find out more about this game than I was able to figure out. One pro tip I will tell people, keep coming back and talking to this guy. He might have something cool for you. Alright, so let's go track our way over to the boss so we can unlock leveling up. Zagat's, do the torches have a timer like in Dark Souls 2? No. So you can see I've got this torch here and never have to worry about it. I can put it away. Using it as a weapon does take up stamina, but that's also because it's an attack. But you can have the torch out as much as you want and you never have to worry about it, which is great because it's one less meter that you have to concern yourself with, and also I'm not sure it's, you know, that's not, you know, one of the, you know, I like the fact that I have to have a risk-reward in these games. Obviously, that's kind of the whole thing with the Souls games, but that's one that I'm okay with getting rid of. And that's kind of what I've noticed about Bloodborne, generally speaking, is that it's a streamlining in a way that allows the game to capitalize on what it's really good at, and sort of slowly work away the stuff that... Whoa. Let's see if I can get this guy to stagger. Come on. Oh. Alright, I need my, Got it. Okay. Booyakasha! So when you do that, which unfortunately wouldn't happen in the dark, but that's a front stab. So that's staggering an enemy, and then getting up close, hitting R1, and that allows you to do an extremely powerful attack that you cannot do otherwise. You can set up that attack a few ways. We can see if we can do it here in the light. Nope. Can't. I'm just killing him. Alright, so you see this time, we're now on the other side. Oh, hound. So notes you can say if they're great or bad. And what's really cool is that when you lay a note down, and if someone approves it and says, like, that's a great note, you actually get a little notification on the screen, which allows you to feel good about yourself. We're going to run past these guys. Because... Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's so good looking! It's amazing! And fuck. So the boss design in this game is just absolutely incredible. And you'll see I was spending a lot of time like hanging out around his knees. I found that, you know, although running away is not a tactic that you shouldn't consider, I found generally speaking that you do want to kind of stick close and just focus on rolling. You just need to get really good at dodging in order to be successful in these battles. Well, that's not what I would call a successful dodge. Well, one thing you do want to test often is like how weak are, you know, different enemies to fire. That's sort of like a common metric, you know, it's something that you can kind of exploit, depending on, you know, again, what their affinity is to stuff like that. Whoop. Whoa, let's get out of there. Play it safe, Patrick. So when he does that sort of like red power-up, so I've noticed that the bosses also, you know, act differently based on the ranges that you're in. And it seems like that's often the game. Oh, that's not great. That's not great. That is a, that's not a way to win this fight. Also, missing your Molotov cocktail throws is not the way to win the fight. Oh, you son of a... Oop. But you can whip those pretty far. I think we're going to be able to do this in one. There we go. And the prey was slaughtered. Now, obviously, I fought this guy like 4 or 5 times. Oh, is it raining blood? I did not notice that detail before. And there's plenty of tricks I haven't figured out with that guy. Even though I haven't... You know, I have to imagine you're able to stagger him. I have to imagine you're able to stun him. I haven't figured out a lot of those tricks yet. So there are plenty of things about this game that even though I was able sort of to take that guy out pretty quickly, because I now know that his main trick is that you lock onto him and then you just kind of sweep around his leg to the left. You know, the game, what's amazing about the Souls games, what I love about the Souls games is how they communicate what they want the player to know through the design. And not just the way the character moves, right? You can watch and see that the enemy favors its right hand. Or I guess it's left hand, but right hand from your perspective. And one hand is big and one hand is small, suggesting one is weak and one is strong, or at least one is going to be used more than the other. And as you start to pick that up in the boss, you realize, okay, if I keep moving to the left, he's gonna miss me most of the time. And you know, it's tricks like that where so much of the game works in concert with one another, where the enemy design, the art design, they all complement each other in a way that allows you to pull something off that seems insurmountable and do it and make it look easy, like I just did there. Some people in the chat pointing out that, hey, it seems like Molotov cocktails were kind of OP. And that's kind of a pro tip early on, is that before you have managed to get your strength up to a certain degree, that if you're having a little bit of trouble, like a lot of enemies in this game are scared or weak to fire. Now granted, Molotov cocktails cost a decent chunk to buy. You don't have a lot of control over them. You can easily miss, and enemies dodge them all the time. So they're not a catch-all solution, but early on, if you're having some struggles, bigger enemies are pretty weak to things like Molotov cocktails. Consume insight and ring the beckoning bell to enlist the cooperation of hunters from other worlds. Silencing blank ends such forms of cooperation. So basically then you unlock the items that allow you to play with other players. These things around here are the Chalice dungeons, if you're not familiar with those, if you're not read up on them. Chalice dungeons are basically random generated, instanced dungeons that you can create. Both players can curate them and create different filters that produce different types of dungeons. There also appear to be offline and or from software created Chalice dungeons. And the Chalice dungeons relate to, let's see, these, how can I pull this up? Probably with my stats screen. So the Chalice dungeons relate to the Carol rune effect. So basically these runes that'll drop and that give you different status effects. Like for example, I have a rune currently that, you know, gives me a plus 2% to my beast attack. So if I fight any beast, then I'm getting a 2% attack increase against them as a result of equipping the rune. And you seem to find lots more runes by going into these Chalice dungeons, but you don't get access to the Chalice dungeons until you defeat the 4th boss in the game. That could happen earlier or later depending on what order you start playing the game in, but generally speaking, you're not going to get the Chalice dungeons until much later into the game. LOL343, hey Patrick, how are the loading times? They're not great. They are fairly substantial. They're good for answering questions in the game, but for people when we're doing a live stream, not particularly great when it comes to having to wait through them. But as I mentioned earlier in the stream, the developers have already said they're working on a patch to address the loading screen. I sincerely doubt it's going to be instantaneous, which would be the most opportune scenario, the one I'd like the most, and something that would probably be a little more applicable on the PC. But you know, we're kind of limited to what's possible on the PS4, and with the PC you can brute force stuff and make things go faster. Doesn't happen on the PS4. So fingers crossed stuff like that gets better, and they've already said they're working on it. If people have any questions, let me know. We'll spend a little time here in the Hunter's Dream and address a little questions about the Bloodborne. We've been going for a little while here. We're going to go for a little while yet, because Bloodborne is now out. People are going to start playing it as it unlocks in their various territories. It's a terrific game, in short. If you're just tuning in, I am absolutely in love with it. 20 hours in, totally obsessed.
Now shut your eyes.
Because I can't, can you confirm that bosses are mostly original and not largely human types like Dark Souls 2? I can definitely tell you that you are not going to fight a lot of humans. You will fight humans in the form of hunters. So there are essentially, you know, the invaders that you would see in Dark Souls. There'd be sort of ren-tinted NPCs that were not people actually invading your game as other players. You'll fight characters known as hunters that sometimes have dialogue, that sometimes have a little background to them, that sometimes you'll meet multiple times throughout the game. But those hunters are sort of these mini-bosses, but the actual bosses in the game largely do appear to be monstrous, creepy creatures that are terrifying. So we're going to go... Let's see, I think my gun... Let's see what my gun scales to. So if you're not familiar with these games, here's some stuff that it took me a little bit of time to figure out, but I can explain to you now. So you'll see on the saw cleaver, which is my weapon, right? So if we head over to these the various stats sections, like these are all pretty, you know, self-explanatory. But things like this, attribute bonuses. So the attribute requirement is obviously what you need in order to equip it. The attribute bonus is basically weapons scale and get bonuses based on the stats that you have. So for example, looking at this one, you'll see that it scales D to strength, E to skill, and D to arcane. So basically, if you want to use this weapon, preferably if you're putting points into strength, because you're going to get more out of this weapon as a result of putting points into strength. Doesn't mean it won't work well with skill, which is an E, but that if you are a strength-based character, you're going to want to prefer and rely on strength-based weapons. And that sort of ends up informing how you end up dumping your stats in as you go throughout the game. You don't have to worry too much about it early on. You're going to level up a ton in this game. I'm already in the 40s and I'm only 20 hours in, which makes it seem like I'm probably going to be somewhere in the 80s by the time I'm done with the game, if not higher. But, you know, generally speaking, if you can use a weapon you like and it scales along a stat that you've invested in, that's going to be preferable. JWL 1092, is skill like Dex? Yes. Skill appears to have replaced Dex, and there are, you know, basically there are 2 for each left hand and right hand. So strength and skill, blood tinge and arcane, and those are, they basically kind of break it out that way. There are things like this that, you know, we may not get to in the stream, but, you know, resistant lure of frenzy. The higher the attribute, the more resistant you are. Frenzy is something that enemies can induce in you. So basically, when your frenzy meter fills up, you'll go frenzy. The screen goes blank, it disappears, and sometimes you die. Beasthood, the higher this attribute, the closer you are to beasthood when temporarily transformed. I still haven't been able to pull this off. I don't know how it works, but that is sort of self-explanatory. Jeremint82, which class did you choose? Again, there aren't really classes in these games. It's basically just scales a different type of stat based on what you pick. It does not appear that equipment changes based on who you pick at the front. It's mostly just, are you going to have more strength? Are you going to have more arcane? Are you going to have more health? Like, it doesn't appear to have as substantial of an impact as it has in previous
Farewell,
games.
good hunter. May you find your worth in the waking world.
Getter 404, if blood tinge and arcane are basically strength and skill except guns, does the game discourage mixing them at all, i.e. skill and blood tinge? I have found that I've been putting points into a lot of different spots because I'll answer this question first. Because I've wanted to try all sorts of different weapons, and so if I'm playing the game again, maybe perhaps with this character, I may specialize in a way that I didn't the first time around, but I've been putting points all over the place, and it hasn't really hindered me at all, and it's allowed me to experiment with all the different weapons in the game. So let's see what... Alright, I'm looking for this. So the blunderbuss scales along arcane or blunt hinge, so why don't we stick with that with a single point.
What is it?
Bushka, damn it, what am I doing here? Spoiling myself. Peace, Patrick, thanks for the stream, but I can't watch it. Hey man, that's totally fair. I wouldn't be watching this stream, but I'm happy to provide it for folks who are interested in seeing a little bit of the game, learning about the game, and maybe not sure if they want to play it. You should play it. It's a really good game. Alright, so we did a lot of leveling up. We are already at level 15. We haven't even used the items that we came across. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll see if that'll be enough for us to level up a single time. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to purchase a super useful item. So this is a pro tip early on. The hand lantern is an item you can buy for 2,000 souls. If you head down to your quick items, flick that on. So now if you equip the hand lantern, turn it on, let's walk up here, you'll notice that we have a little bit of light. It's not that great. It doesn't allow you to see a whole lot, but it does allow you to hold both of your gun and your weapon without sacrificing one of those in order to have a torch. So make sure you grab that early on, and that'll be super useful. So the workshop, this is where we come to repair our items. Durability has been an issue in previous Souls games, one that you have to kind of really worry about. I have not had any weapons break. I have not had to spend significant amounts of blood echoes on them, so you kind of don't need to worry about it. Maybe that becomes a thing in New Game Plus, but it has certainly not been the case of something that I've had to worry about. So fortifying is the upgrade process. So we've got 3 blood shards, so we can go ahead and upgrade that Slaw Cleaver once. And what's nice is that it becomes very easy to find these later in the game. You can just outright purchase them for pretty cheap. Which basically means what I've been doing now in the game is I've been purchasing different weapons and experimenting with stuff that I haven't used for most of the game. And often what will happen in these games is that because you have to go farm for all the different fortifying and upgrade items, that you don't mess with other weapons. But in this game, I found I can mess with them because I can quickly get them up to pace and take them out into the world and know that they're scaled along with my character in a way that's going to make those weapons useful.
You must be the new. Welcome to the eye at your shield. Just, you know.
Skip through that. You can talk to that guy. He'll give you kind of tips about, you know, maybe where to go and things like that. But he is not someone we have to talk to right now. So we got 833 souls left. You can sell items as well. You know, not something that's always been a part of the Souls games. But if, let's say you come across some clothing that you don't need, you know, there you go. You're set to go. Let's see, we might as well work on upgrading ourselves. This is basically like the kind of garb that everyone starts to upgrade to. We'll want to come back and get that pretty soon. Getter 404, while on the subject of experimenting, is the respawn rate constant or limited like in Dark Souls 2? The respawn rate is constant. Enemies do not disappear at any time in Bloodborne, or at least I have not noticed that. I don't think that's a design element that has carried over to Bloodborne. There are, you know, the invader equivalent hunters. Those will disappear. So when you defeat them, they do not reappear in the world. But, you know, if you fight, for example, if you find an enemy you want to farm, or if you find an enemy that has been particularly difficult for you, just because you fight them 10 to 15 times does not mean they'll disappear from the map. I know that that was a controversial change in Dark Souls 2, where for some players it was really beneficial because let's say you're sprinting to a boss and you keep messing up making your way over there, you no longer had to worry about certain enemy types because they would disappear because you killed them enough times. But some people hated that because if you didn't get the random drop that you wanted from a specific enemy, and it only drops in a certain location or from a certain enemy, then all of a sudden they weren't there anymore, and that seemed kind of unfair. Like, that seemed like that wasn't necessarily the way to handle that. So let's go ahead and see if we can draw these guys out. So when I hit L1 and it transforms, you know, that gets me a little bit range. People are asking, what is the little eyeball? So eyeball, he's gonna just hang out there. That's insight. And insight can be spent in another shop. I'll swing by the insight shop when I head back to the Hunter's Dream. But it's basically a second form of currency. And if you want to play with people, if you want to participate in jolly cooperation, you will need to spend insight. I don't know, it seems like it's a currency that runs out, but maybe that's something that I just don't know that much about, and maybe you can get it in ways that... Alright, this is the best! Oh, that is so satisfying. Every single time, I love it. Every single time, I love it. So at least I've upgraded my shotgun enough, or hit that guy in mid-animation enough for me to pull that off. And, you know, you're never going to really want to use that on enemies like this, but I have found those bigger types are, you know, extremely useful to take them out using that stagger. So what happens there is staggering, so you're basically breaking them mid-animation and allowing you to pull off the ultra-powerful move there. But you can also stagger by getting behind them and doing a charge attack. So there are two ways of doing that, but I have found that doing it through a gun to be a little more useful. Oh, that did not work. And you're kind of waiting until... I won't do it on this guy, because he's giving me a lot of really long animations that I can just take advantage. But you're often waiting for like a big pullback on a move from an enemy, and then, you know, hitting them at the last second. So that one would be difficult to do. But that's perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. Is as he's coming down with the swing, you pull the trigger. I've been using the blunderbuss, so I don't know how easy or difficult or not possible that is to do with a pistol. Okay, I don't think I've unlocked this area yet. Okay, so that's in the shortcut, but I have not found or gotten to that spot yet. But we have more to explore in Yharnam. And we're going to do that. So we're going to head up here and go over to our left. Head down, you'll... that's the shortcut we came down before. If you're not familiar with these games, you will notice that all the enemies have repopulated. That's kind of how these games work. In which, even though you kill an enemy, that they all come back and you have to take them out all over again. So, you know, it's one of those things that is unique to these games. It's kind of a love it or hate it. It was something that I hated at first, and then came to love and appreciate for what it does.
You're a hunter, aren't you? Well, do you know of any safe...
LOL343L, or 343I. How do you get blood echoes? You defeat enemies. Blood echoes are basically experience points. They were also called... they were called souls in the previous games. Power Dunker, shout out to all the GB community peeps. Hell yeah, man. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate everyone coming out and hanging out. And this is far and away the most I've ever had on a stream before. So thanks everyone for supporting. Please subscribe if you're interested in checking out. I do streams pretty regularly. I kind of specialize in doing some horror stuff, but if you're interested in weird games off the beaten path, I'm your guy. You can also check out a bunch of stuff at youtube.com/PatrickKlubik. This archive will go up there when there's lots of stuff on Kotaku.com, which is my day job. So, Quasi Goodandy, are all the weapons pretty much fast weapons? Absolutely not. There are lots of slow weapons. that you will come across. And actually, I'll be able to switch over to another character pretty soon, and I'll be able to show you how some of those slower weapons work. The other character I have that has access to a lot more is 20 hours into the game, and obviously I've purchased a lot more weapons. I'm messing around with a lot more weapons, but I don't have access to them quite yet in this part of the game. Jaffa Cakewhack. Any news on how the co-op works and if the item to summon people is easy to find? I don't. So it's very easy to find. The item happens through. You can see here. It's a beckoning bell. Use insight to ring and call other worlds for help. I've never used it. We can mess with it. We can try and bring someone into the second boss battle. Because I'll probably need some help there, and we can see how it works. Because it's actually something I've not played with at all.
Oh, a hunter, are you? And an
WB Gamer,
outsider?
what headphones are you using? Astros A40s. I've had them for a while, but they're starting to fall apart. I actually need to invest in some new headphones, but they're pretty nice. I like the fact that they have like their own you know, sort of like volume mixer that is separate from anything that's happening on my machine. Just allows me to compartmentalize things in a way that is really nice. I recommend them.
There are no humans left. They're all flesh-hungry beasts now.
Look at that face. Whoop, sorry, that's inappropriate. I'm sorry. Just trying to. Aw, I lost the close-up. Okay.
Still lingering. What's wrong?
Oh, shake off cape. Let's find out what that is. I forget how to do the there we go. So we got, let's run through some of these. Got point forward. That's pretty good. Hunter salutation. A nice bow. Sit down if you want to pull a destiny. Hunter's rally. Oh, that's just get up. That's pretty great. That's what I do in real life whenever I beat a boss in this game. Joy. That's fantastic. It's just weird enough. Conviction. Okay. That's just, you know, getting pumped up. Brink22, thoughts on Yoshi's Woolly World, Patrick? I hope it's good. Most Yoshi games suck. So let's switch. Shake off cape. Let's give that a shot. That's great. That's fantastic. I need to go ahead and customize those. So as you play through the game, you'll basically come across like different NPCs, and NPCs will give you often as rewards for helping them on various quests. They'll give you different moves that you can use to shake off cape and do other things. Physical attack is effective. You know what? Not the greatest of tips, but it's early. I feel like I want to reward you for helping out. Right, cold blood dew. Oh, that's bad. Oh, this is all sorts of. I don't like the fact that those rats are indulging in the happiness of watching me die. That's not very nice of you. Java Quake hack. How much does your haircut cost? It's so jazzy. It costs nothing. You just don't get a haircut that often. But also my haircuts cost like $7. I go to some really cheap place. CPTK cool out. Can anyone tell me origin character he picked? I went with the military veteran because it starts off with more strength. As pointed out by Fogshi, fall damage seems low. Yes, fall damage is extremely low in Bloodborne. You can basically confidently fall from almost anything, and you're going to be okay. Basically, you either die from falling, like, completely, and, like, that it's too far and the game won't even, like, register it, or you're going to be just fine. Oh, I got so good at doing those, and I'm an expert. I am an expert. Those guys, also pro tip, almost always drop 2 blood vials, which is really good for trying to get up over the storage limit. It can be kind of annoying if you play the game and then all of a sudden you warp in and you've only got 6 blood vials, so then you have to spend time grinding either for souls to buy them or for enough to sort of get them back in your inventory. So recommended that you take those guys out because it'll help you out. That's not a beast. So this game is just like, it is so much about dodging. I have found that it has probably taught me a lot more about what I should be doing that I didn't do in Dark Souls, because I played sort of a sword and shield character and never had to worry about so much about getting hit. Whereas in Bloodborne, it is all about dodging, and you just need, I feel like it's actually going to make me a better Souls player in general, just because I think even though the other games are a lot slower, because I've just had to deal with dodging so much in Bloodborne, I've just become much better at it, which is, I think, going to be useful in the long term for playing this game and inevitably the other Souls games that come out. I fully expect that Bloodborne, you know, does not mean the end of Dark Souls. I think we're going to see Bloodborne and Dark Souls run concurrently with one another, and that, you know, I think next year would probably be, I guess you know, it was actually kind of amazing to look up the timeline between Demon Souls and Dark Souls and realize there was only 2 years in between them, 2009 and 2011. I thought for sure it would have been longer than that. So I guess it's not inconceivable that Dark Souls 2, or Dark Souls 3 rather, could come next year. Because I wouldn't be surprised if maybe these games went on 2 or 3 year cycles, so that, like, every year and a half we were getting one or the other. Don't know for sure exactly how that's going to end up working out, but I expect that we are going to get Dark Souls 3 made by the team that made Dark Souls 2 at some point. Whoop! Alright, so back down here again. See, this is an instance where you want to hit L1 and transform. That allows you to really quickly take out all of these enemies. They're really weak, so you know you don't really have to worry about it too much. But nonetheless, the transforming ability works really well in that regard. So we picked up a saw spear, which I believe has a better base level stat. So you know, if you upgrade that, it's going to end up being slightly higher. Right now, I've got my saw cleaver up, so I'm going to stick with it, but I can show you the difference. So you can see it's a little bit longer. Hit R1 with this. They're basically the same weapon. The saw spear just, I think, maybe has like a slightly longer reach. And again, sort of has a higher level base stat. So early on, you know, every point counts. Quasi good Andy. Patrick, any idea why this isn't officially a Souls game? Don't know. I don't know why. Well, okay. I actually think I do know. I think Hidetaka Miyazaki, who is the designer of Demon Souls and Dark Souls, didn't want to have to be restricted to what players would expect. So Madman's Knowledge, quick side note, is what allows you to pump up Insight, and I'll explain Insight the next time I make it over to the Hunter stream. But I think had this game been called Demon Souls 2, and there were rumors for a long time that it was actually in development as Demon Souls 2, there are certain conventions, certain expectations of how that game would have to play. And if Miyazaki wanted to create a game that broke those conventions, like forced players to play in a different way, allowed him to design a game that used the Souls framework but took it in a new direction, it seems like Bloodborne allowed him to do that, where it allows him to say, hey, this is similar to a Souls game. If you played a Souls game, you're going to feel at home. Oh, take that, buddy. But that he then doesn't have to include all the things that Souls fans would want, that Demon Souls fans would get upset if he excluded. Bloodborne is basically as fresh a slate as you can get, given the fact that you're building on top of what was already there. So, you know, I think it's possible this game could have come out as Demon Souls 2, but imagine if this game was called Demon Souls 2 in name, it was the exact same game. There would be people upset at the fact that it was called Demon Souls 2, and was it more exactly like what you would get from a more traditional sequel to a game called Demon Souls. So, you know, I think I'm glad that there exists the possibility that there could someday be a Demon Souls 2, and I doubt that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I suppose it is not precluded from happening as a result of Bloodborne existing. Which one did I fall down? Okay, that side. If you have any other questions, Bloodborne just came out. I've been playing it for the last 5 days ago. I got it last Wednesday. I've put about 20 hours again. We are obviously not playing that save. We are jumping in on fresh and kind of running through a lot of the early part of the game very fast because I've been through it a bunch of times before. But if you have questions about the game, you know, what's different, what's, you know, changed versus other Souls game, feel free to drop it in. Someone asking to see the transformed spear weapon. Sure. So that looks pretty similar to the other one. They function the same way. They, you know, technically I suppose might have a wider range of attack, but smarter men than I would be ones that could explain that to you. And, you know, that's going to be the fun thing about the game being out now, is that people are now going to tear into it. They're going to figure out all the weird stuff that I wasn't able to figure out. I'm excited to, you know, start reading about NPC quests that I missed, because I know for sure I missed a ton of them. And it's fun. Like, it's been tremendous to play this game before I could do a Google search, before I could get any type of YouTube video help. I've had to figure out all of this game on my own, and that has been a slightly scary prospect. JBL 1092 shows the short attack stronger. It would be as its base level stat, and I suppose because it scales slightly better, that also might influence it as well. So these enemies are creepy. They don't do anything while I'm up here. LBX 33. Are there factions like in Dark Souls? I have not encountered a faction yet. It does not appear to be people that you specifically strike up with, which was certainly the case in the previous Souls games. Alright, so this is the case where we are going to transform our enemy, our weapon. Let's see if we try this. Oh. Probably should have turned notifications off. So I don't have, so you can see the kind of reach this gives me. Allows me to kind of pick at those enemies. So if you pick the axe, which I unfortunately don't have access to right now, but the axe, when in its transformed mode, and then you hold down the charge attack, is actually capable of doing this extremely powerful spinning move that I have found to be extremely useful for sort of these mob scenarios. I don't think my gun's gonna do too much. Whoop! Vomited something on me. That is a pile of dead bodies, my friends. Some people talking about the possibility of there being a PC version. I really think it's highly unlikely. Sony helped fund the development of this game. I'm not going to say that it's impossible, because nothing is impossible, but I would put that pretty high up on the unlikely scale, simply because this is going to be the kind of game that drives people to buy a console. And, you know, Dark Souls still exists, so From Software has their multi-platform game, and then, you know, with Bloodborne, they get the leveraging of a console manufacturer that wants to put their whole marketing muscle behind it. So in From Software's case, they're kind of getting the best of both worlds, and I just find it extremely doubtful that we'll ever see this game appear anywhere else. You know, like I mentioned earlier, whereas Microsoft has an incentive to provide PC versions because, you know, as long as you're, you know, if you're playing on Windows, then in some ways you are supporting the ecosystems that they participate in, but that is just not the case with Sony. They have literally no reason to release this on the PC other than the fact that it would be kick-ass. Kafku, are there hidden walls? I have not found a single hidden wall yet. Not to say they aren't there, but I have not found anything like that. Generally speaking, it seems like Bloodborne is less magical than the Dark Souls games. And, you know, specifically, that's also because I have not found any magic. I do not think magic is a part of this game unless it's something going to be introduced as a late-game concept. This is pretty creepy. Kind of lure him out. Oh! Oh! Ah, get up the stairs, get up the stairs, get up the stairs! That thing is nasty. Oh, look how high he gets up! He's trying to reach me so bad. Sorry, dude. Shangy, how you doing? Asking me. I'm doing great. You know why I'm doing great? Because Bloodborne is great. It's awesome to be on Twitch, having all these people hanging out, watching me play the game. Really exciting. Thanks for joining in. Adium says, you seriously need to get Odetta Jr. a top hat. That is, you are right on the money there. Alright, I'm going to be able to unlock another shortcut here. So you'll see, heading on up. Alan Roft, is there any sort of New Game Plus? I have not unlocked it. I have not finished the game yet, but the developers have already confirmed there is a New Game Plus. And they were joking about in an interview that they were actually having trouble finishing it, which makes me think that the New Game Plus is going to be pretty brutal in these games. Oh! 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 I thought for sure I'd gotten that. Shit. Shit. Oh man. I screwed that up real badly. See, sometimes those attacks will actually impact other enemies. Like while you're in the midst of doing that powerful hit, it will actually sort of touch the other guys, but I find that doesn't happen too often. Certainly can't be relied upon. So shining coins, that's also a new item. They don't seem to do a whole lot, except that they make a little thing like that. So I suppose if you wanted to make a marker, if you were in a dark area, if there was a maze, I suppose that would kind of help you out, but unless there was something more to them, it appears to be just a coin that is on the ground. So we're pretty close to the next boss, and I'm going to want to summon for that, just because, not because I need to, but because I'd like to see what it's like. But we're going to go, we're going to head back to the starting area. So, well, we'll show off a new item. So one of the items you can use now is kind of like a homeward bone. So the Bold Hunter's Mask allows you to warp back to an area without losing any blood echoes. You also have the Hunter's Mask, which you sacrifice all of your blood echoes that you've accrued, and then you head back. So if I use this... you can meme. Later in the game, did you ever run out of blood vials and have to farm for some? So, I found that I was running out of blood vials early in the game, in which I was getting hurt a lot, when I was dying a lot. I was fighting bosses in which I was using up almost 20 vials. As I've gotten further in the game, you just constantly encounter enemies that drop a ton of vials, and so I have a bunch of storage, and so... and also I'm just dying less as I was getting further into the game in the earlier areas, so enemies that were dropping vials, I was just stocking up on them. And sometimes I would just kind of sit through an area, whack it a bunch of times, and then stock up on those and have a bunch in storage. And you can also buy them, so, you know, let's say, you know, you end... One of the strategies I'll use is I'll level up as much as I can, and let's say I need 8,000 echoes in order to level up one more time. If I don't want to go farm for the other 4,000, I'll just go use the 4,000 and buy 15 blood vials. Okay. So I think I have found a couple of upgrade items. So let's go ahead and look at this other shop really quickly. Ooh. Oh, this bath appears to be linked to the nightmare, but there are no messengers. Okay, I guess that hasn't opened up yet, but that's where you spend insight, which is, insight is below the blood echoes in the corner. I've got 4 of them. You gain insight both by encountering new creatures and bosses, and then also by consuming the madman's knowledge. Let's see, that goes up to 5. And they're basically just different types of items that you can purchase. So think of it as 2 kinds of currency. Let's see, you got anything else to say, man? Yep.
This was...
Yep. Okay. So, like, there are other things that unlock as you go along. There's storage here. You can put stuff away. You can knock over these books and be a total dickhole. You've got a memory altar, which allows you to establish the runes, which are upper in the upper right-hand corner there. You don't unlock that till much later in the game. But runes are what allow you to start really customizing your character to a heavy degree. So, for example, you can... just like give yourself different bonus stats, and the other thing you can do are... Oh, well, actually doesn't matter. But you'll see right above there are blood gems, and blood gems, it's above the physical attack there. Blood gems are what allow you to add like fire effects to your weapon and things of that nature. You know, you can do that all temporarily with fire paper and bolt paper and other things that give you temporary status effects, but there are ways of giving permanent effects to your weapons by finding different items. So, let's level up.
Welcome. What is it? Very well. Let the echoes become your strength.
Eugen, how's the lady there? Is she maiden blackish?
Stand close.
Which is, he's alluding to the
Now shut
sort of
your
level up
eyes.
character from Demon Souls, or more like the lady from Dark Souls 2. I guess, what do you mean by that? Like, what exactly are you, what are you looking for? What details are you looking for on the doll? Don't be, and that sounds weird. That sounds weird. So let's get that vitality up. Let's get strength up. Let's get endurance up. Well, so that leaves me just above 500, which means I should be able to purchase another piece of equipment for my person. So, Yarnum Hunter Gloves. And because of that, I can go ahead and sell these other ones. Let's see, the Black Hood. Let's equip our other thing first. Oh, and that gets us just above the 500 mark. Which allows us to get those trousers, because hey man, don't leave home without your trousers. That's just a way to get yourself into trouble. I haven't seen you know, one of the things that people have been asking about is the amount of customizability. It's really easy in the Souls games to make your character look unique and interesting and different. And I've found there appears to be less of that in Bloodborne. Maybe I have to unlock more stuff. Maybe I haven't discovered as much stuff. But it has kind of felt like so far that and a lot of the characters in the game are going to look pretty similar. But again, maybe that changes later. Maybe I haven't unlocked everything. Maybe I haven't found certain stuff. But that has kind of been how I felt about it so far. Eugen asking about the doll lady. So I think the Maiden in Black's dialogue story from Demon's Souls was way more interesting than the lady from Dark Souls 2. Not sure how that's perv. No, I was just saying what I was saying about the. I made a crappy joke. You're not perv. I mean, you could be, but I can't make that judgment from this Twitch chat. Basically, the Maiden in Black is much more interesting than the character from Dark Souls 2, and you actually don't learn a lot about the doll. It's possible that she becomes a character later in the game, but my experience so far is that she is mostly just there as a vessel for you to level up and learn a little bit of tidbits about the world. W. Matthew, do you think a lot of people will buy it because they find it too hard or rage quit because of Sony marketing? I don't know. I'm very curious to see what the response is to this. I feel like the fact that it's not called Souls is maybe perhaps a fresh start that might give some people an incentive to give the game a shot that might not have given the game a shot. I think that would be awesome because I think these games are worth playing. I think Bloodborne is perhaps the most accessible yet, and I don't mean that in the sense that it's easy. It is an extremely difficult game that is full of the challenge that you expect and desire from a Souls product, but nonetheless. Oh, I didn't do there's something I didn't do yet. I'm not gonna worry about it. Don't have to do everything. But you know, whether the fact that it's called Bloodborne, that Sony's giving it the biggest push one of these games has ever gotten, I would love for this game to be a huge hit. I would love for more people to experience what is cool about these games. You know, that I think a lot of folks that are watching this, you know and love, and that I think a lot more people would enjoy if they kind of gave it the chance. Someone in the chat asking, Targetus 435, can you combo into weapon transformations? You can. So you notice this. So this is me kind of going back and forth. I got my stamina recharge, but it's like R1, L1, R1, L1, and all those linked together and swapped my weapon around from that really slick animation. It's like, look at that. Yep. I could do that all day, my friends. Oh, they're so bad. Hey, 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 hey. Woo! Whoa! Barely got out of the way of that one. Anyone survive? Anyone survive? Dan the Man 30, can you go from one-handed to two-handed? Two-handed weapons are weapon-specific, so as opposed to being able to hold this two-handed, this is just not a two-handed weapon. There are two-handed weapons, but this is not one of them. Shantig, are you finding the game scary at all? I haven't. It's overtly creepy. I don't know if I found anything as scary as the Tower of Latria from Demon's Souls, but it is a creepy-ass game, that is for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and just run past this guy. Hey, buddy. Oh, but here's the problem. Okay, we can't run past him because he's gonna come track me down, and we're gonna want to try and. I want to try and summon. I want to make sure there are no enemies around to kind of screw that up. So we'll take out these guys. Oh, that guy hit me. That did not go well. That could have gone better. If I was to critique my work in that battle, I would say not A+. JFudge13, can you backstab? I don't think backstabbing works without actually staggering them. I could be wrong on that regard, though. So let's see. Can we bring other people into our game? Let's see how this works. So beckoning bell. Use insight to ring and call other worlds for help. So. Searching the chime of a small resonant bell. We'll see if anyone answers the call. It's possible it won't work because I forgot to change back over to the public server. I have my game set up to a private server call that the folks that were playing this game early were playing in, so it's possible there aren't nearly as many people. We'll give this a second and give it a shot. I should probably, you know... What's that noise? Just taking that atmosphere. Oh, so it seems like the bell is just going. So it seems like an icon has now appeared in the corner, which means that I guess you can run around and you can hope that someone else is responding with a resonant bell. But you know, a lot of people are running around. I'm not sure we're actually going to get someone. So this is not a fault of the game at all. This is me playing on a server that just doesn't have a lot of the people that are jumping into the game right now. So. What was that? Oh, that's cool. I haven't seen that before. I can switch to the public server and we can be able to try and pull people in. I'll do it after this.
Beasts all over the shop. You'll be one of them, sooner or later.
Alright. So you guys should be in for a surprise here. I think I'm going to be able to get him in the position that I want. Yep. What? Ah! This version of the guy is way harder. Oh. Oh, god damn it! I can't believe that's how I died. I can't believe that's how that ended. Wow. One more hit, pushing in the corner. Aunt Crusoe is exclusive on PS4 until it comes out on Xbox. Not coming to Xbox. This was a game funded partially by Sony, and that's it's unfortunately not going to happen. One of the ways that I was able to get through that fight in a previous time was using more Molotov cocktails. Did not have that, so I actually had to dodge, and you know he's definitely manageable. I just got my butt kicked and lost all my souls. Now I have to go back there and fight. Let's see. So, I'm trying to think the way I have this set up so I can switch over to the public server. I think I'm gonna have to stop the stream for a half second. So I'm gonna stop the stream for 30 seconds. Switch over to the public server, and we'll be right back. Apologies for the brief interruption, but some of the settings that I needed to change in order to get us on the public server are things that were privately shared, and I'm not allowed to show that stuff off. So we're back. Brief interruption, but let's get back into it. Alright, so play online. Make sure all this stuff is good to go. Here we go! Welcome to online mode. This never popped up when I played this before, so I assume be sure to enjoy this exciting feature responsibly and treat your fellow players with respect. Will do. So load game. So we got Odetta, about 20 hours. Brandon, which was a character we used for a Bloodborne drinking game on Sunday, and Odetta Jr., who we have are going to load back into. Dan the Man 30, from what I've seen so far, the combat seems repetitive. Hack and slash, paths for linear, not much customization. Visually, it runs at 30. You know, playing a Souls game is kind of what it's all about. There are games that don't necessarily translate all that well. Well, I think they do, but I think I'm especially running through this early part of the game, because I've played it a bunch of times before and I know what I'm doing. But actually playing these games is a totally different experience that I would highly recommend doing, and that I think will put in stark perspective just that this is not a repetitive hack and slash, and that the actual movement and learning the stylistic nuances of combat are pretty perfect. Boom! Shakalaka. Alright, so now that we are on the public server, I'm going to go ahead and use the beckoning bell. You'll notice at the top there that it created a little beast icon. So apparently that's something about what would happen regardless of turning yourself into some sort of temporary beast, but I still don't know quite how that would work. Discovered the chime of a small resonant bell. Ooh, where? The bell's resonance has beckoned blank butt kiss. So look at that guy. What's up, dude? Let's do this. Shake off the cape. Shake it off. Okay. Aw, that's fun. That's fantastic. All right. Let's bring this guy on our adventure. Alright, so I think he's gonna help us beat this dude. I feel confident in our ability to fend off this boss with our new friend. Hopefully he remembers the section we're going up to. I would hate for our friend to get knocked over by a big rolling ball that's coming down the pipe. What a great name! Oh, I think you guys are right that his name is Dick. And it's blanked out. Oh, that's fantastic. You know, I gotta say, that guy looks pretty unique. He looks different. He has found some cool shit. He's got a mask. Oh, this dude knows what's up. He's charging forward. Yeah, he's running around because he knows that ball's coming. Oh, friend. We are going to be friends. This guy seems like he's probably pretty, a lot further than I am. I like how it's his cooperator. I don't know what level he is, but he has a lot of items. Yeah, he's got pretty good damage. I wonder what weapon he's using. So you can see, like, you can kind of really wreck stuff with two people. This is my first time playing with another human being, so this is a brand new experience for me. All right, there's the nightmare fog. People are saying he's using the threaded cane. Gotcha. He's ready. Alright, so you can definitely backstab. Okay. We're just wrecking this guy. Alright. So I might let him do a little bit of the work here. jolly cooperation. Shake off the cape. Shake off the cape. Shake off the cape. Oh, bye. Bye, Dick Buckus. Bye. So that makes the battle basically trivial. I got to admit. I have found in the past that I enjoy playing these games solo. I like putting as much time as I can in by myself. I don't look down on anyone that plays with other people. And I will say that if you look at this game and think to yourself, this seems overwhelming, this seems like it might be too much for me, one way that you can sort of null that is by bringing other people in. Like, play with other folks. Like, let people carry you. Like, I don't think there is often, I have found playing these games, that a sense that, oh, this is the way it's meant to be played, or this is how you should play this game, and I just don't think that is the case at all. I think you should play games the way that's going to make you have the most amount of fun. If that means playing with other people all the time, if that means letting other folks carry you, like, through some of the bosses, like, do whatever is going to let you enjoy the game to the maximum capacity. Like, for me, I like to scale the challenges on my own. I didn't summon at all and play co-op with anyone in Dark Souls. No mercy for women, but you must accept courage. Interesting. I don't know how that works. So you must be able to record some sort of... W. Matthew, can you invite friends in, or is it just random? So, if you go to network, so we can do matching reasons worldwide. Well, yeah, let's make it worldwide. Player display name, online ID, or name. I guess we'll stick with. Why can't I pick my real name? My dumb PSN name is not. Anyway, so you can do password matching, which is what I was getting to. So if you want to match up with your friends, you can set a password for a room, and then you need that password to get in, which basically allows the game to do matchmaking. So if you want to play with other folks, or very specific folks, rather, that is definitely possible. That is brand new to the Souls games, and I was curious whether they were going to end up adding something like that in, because, you know, it is kind of frustrating that you're talking with your friends and you'd love to tackle those monsters together, but the game doesn't let you. But there was something kind of cheeky and interesting about the fact that you had to play with complete strangers. Alright, so we were trucking along. We were basically doing what I did in like 8 hours in like 90 minutes, which that's how this stuff goes. Gaming magic. Does this game feel easier because of the previous games? I think it's impossible that you wouldn't be slightly ahead of the curve on playing any of these games because you've invested the time with the other ones, right? Like, you kind of know the rhythms, even though the game mechanics have wildly changed for Bloodborne. Like, you know, by and large, if you've played a Souls game before, like, you're gonna have a little bit of a advantage over someone who is brand new to a game like this. But it feels different enough that the game has forced me to rethink most of my main strategies to the point that let's let this cutscene play. A.K. Tukey. I don't think this game is for me, but your stream is very informative and entertaining. Thanks, Patrick. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you'll come back around again for more Bloodborne or other games in the future. Licentanius81, what does the notebook do, please? The notebook lets you say things like, The notebook lets you write things down. So you'll notice, well, let's turn this on. Throughout the world, there are little things. There's none over here right now, but basically, there are notes throughout the world. The notebook is what lets you write them and read them. And what's really neat, it hasn't come up yet here. So I wrote, oh, I must have been offline when all these happened. So I wrote down have audience with bonfire, and then 5 people have given that a thumbs up. So you can kind of check in and see how your notes are doing. These are the notes that I've read, so you can kind of go back through those, and then obviously you can write another note. Name is taken 1. Is there a new game plus? There is. I haven't beaten the game. I don't know how it works. I don't know what changes, but there is definitely a new game plus.
Hmm? Oh, you must be a hunter.
Dan the Man 30, can you kill any NPC in this game? I believe so. I have not tried to do that yet. I'm probably going to start up another character that is kind of breaking the game and futzing with the game in ways that I don't want to do in my main one.
Always does. Always has, you know. Since forever. But it won't end nicely. Not this time.
So that's a note for the person who was asking about the notebook. It's right there.
The screams of women folk. The stench of blood. The snarls of beasts.
Obidex, does the game let you pause at all? Absolutely not. You are not allowed to pause in the Souls games. No matter what you're doing, you have to roll with the action that is on screen.
They'll be safe here. The incense wards off the beasts. Spread the word.
Sound Creature, are you going to show us your 20+ hour character where the stream is over? Yes, and actually we should probably transition over to that in just a second. I'll run you through a little bit of this area. And then I will switch over for a little bit of my 20+ hour character. I will give a full heads up on that before we do so because I don't want to spoil too much for folks. But I do want to show you a couple of the creatures in this area. I think they're fantastic. These guys are especially creepy for some reason. I just like, there's something about the masks and the cane. Boom! So usually when you play the Souls games, the main enemy types that you fight are pretty small, right? Like a little on the smaller scale, a little about your size, maybe a little bit bigger. Sometimes occasionally you find ones that are a little bit bigger, but there's nothing quite on the scale of this guy that I'm about to show you. Let's get his attention. Hey, buddy. Fuck you. He doesn't even care about the pebble! Now he spotted me, though. Let's show off your gorgeous face. Look at this thing. Absolutely one of my favorite character designs in the game. Whoop! I missed that. This guy just wrecks stuff. I fought this guy like a million times, and it still kills me every single time. How unbelievable and ridiculous he is. Oh! People are asking if you can stagger him with a shot. Probably. I haven't messed with him though. I haven't tried to do that because I've been able to keep my distance and it's been just fine. So there's a variation on that guy that I want to show off too that is also really incredible. He's right over here. One thing you'll notice is that the characters talk to themselves. Oh, I kind of missed it there. If I can take this guy out, I can show you what I mean. Whoop! That's not what I meant to do. People are asking to see some of the other weapons. We're going to do that in just a second. I don't have any other weapons with this character, so I need to switch over to my other character, and we will do that in just a second. So yeah, so you can hear enemies talking to themselves. We do need to take him out because the enemy type I'm about to show you is not one I need lots of space for it. Now, if you've got other questions, feel free to drop them into the chat, and I will address them momentarily, especially as we go through the menus to switch characters. If you got questions about the game, if you've played the games before, ask me questions. If you're you know, a Souls expert, and you've got questions about very specific things and how they work in this version of the game, happy to address both of those. Someone asking if there are difficulty options. There are not. You have to kind of deal with what the game throws at you, but you can team up with other people, which I feel like is kind of the game's difficulty slider. Fuzzy Dunlop, are the servers up yet? Anything online related? We did a little bit of co-op earlier, but I haven't had any trouble with the servers. Seems like they're fine. So check this out. Let's disturb him. So good. I'm too scared to try and use my gun on him. So one of the things about this game that... So as you progress, like as you defeat enemies, there's actually sort of a... I don't know if I call it a day-night cycle, but the world progresses and changes. And so when you actually transition the game to night, these dudes sleep. Like they literally just crawl up into bed. Well, by crawl up into bed, I mean like they sort of just kneel on the ground and they sleep. Like you can walk through areas where they're at and not have to worry about running into them. Or at least you have to actually actively disturb them in order to activate them. So I guess we'll end this character with just like this incredible landscape of stuff you're probably going to go see. I wonder what's that off in the distance, but you know, if there's anything like other Souls games, anything you can see in the distance is something you're going to be able to check out. But so at this point, I'm going to at least make clear I'm about to jump over to my level 20 or my 20-hour character. I'm like level 45. So if you're okay with having seen stuff in the first 2 hours of the game, but are a little more cautious about stuff that's 20 hours into the game, I'm not going to go actively spoiling a bunch of things, but obviously I may run into certain enemy types or have weapons that are later in the game. But I want to show off some of the other variety that is available, a little bit of some of the other environments, so people can kind of get a sense of what they're in for. But at least full disclosure that if that's something where you want to sign off, thanks for tuning in. Please check in on the rest of the stuff I got going on Twitch and on YouTube. And we're going to jump over to my other main character, Odetta. Fuzzy Dunlop, any idea what the beast mode stuff is? Sounds like you can maybe turn into a monster. You can definitely turn into a monster. I have not done it yet. I don't know how it works. Well, I know that there's a meter that you fill up, but in terms of how you can pull that off and what makes it easier or harder, I have no idea, and none of my friends that have played the game have messed around with it either. Michael, the ear change, does it have autosave? Yes, it's basically saving all the time, and I've even quit mid-combat, and I started basically where I was last. Garfunkelstein, is there a hub world in this game, or is it more like Dark Souls 1 and an interconnected world? It is more of a hub world that spoke off, you know, in ways that Dark Souls 1 did, but it feels more organic and connected. All right, so Odetta. Kaffian, any information on rumors in regards to PC release? I do not think there will ever be a PC release of this game. Genus 4G 363T, any weight mechanic? There is no weight mechanic. You can equip whatever you want. You can carry as much as you want, and you don't have to worry about any of that. So that's not a concern anymore. You're not wearing rings. There are no rings. That's something that's gone. You just equip less equipment in Bloodborne than you do in Souls games. But you can pick up whatever you want, and you never have to worry about it. Basically, the only time you put stuff in storage is if you think you might wear it later for variety's sake. Otherwise, you can sell it and get blood echoes for it. Alright, so let's see. Where am I? Alright, so you can see we're actually in a familiar early area, but it is now nighttime, so things have changed substantially because I have seen some shit. So let's I can show off some of the other weapons I have. So this one is pretty rad. It is kind of like this drill bit thing. Get out of the way of this low-res grass texture. You can kind of see. So show if it's transforming. So it kind of sticks out where it comes in, and then its long one is something like that. So basically, if you hit L1, you're charging it, and then when you hit R2, it kind of spits out like that. And then if you hit L1 and then hold the charge attack, you do that really ridiculous thing. Let's go see if we can find an enemy and use that on. Let's drag him away. Well, that's not what I meant to do. See, I think you need full stamina in order to do that. Come on. Come on. Ah, you need to be pretty close in order to pull that off. Damn it. Well, you get the idea. Let's see. So I've also got my saw cleaver. I need to head back to the Hunter's Dream. Or no, I don't. I can equip things here. This is kind of, this spot was a decent area to showcase things. So I've also got this thing called the Kirk Hammer. I'll switch to the rifle spear. So the Kirk Hammer starts off with this kind of short sword. So you can kind of get your sword action on. But then if you hit L1, you get this goddamn hammer. People are asking if there's ammo for the gun. The ammo count is below my health. So the red's at the top, and there's green, that's your stamina, then the health files, and then that little bit below are your is your ammo count. Let's see, what is, so I can do like this really big charge attack. So the charge attack is pretty funny. Like, it just straight up lays out even like really big enemies in the game. Let's go find someone to hit. Hey buddy, hope you're having a good time. Guess I already killed that guy. DG Automatica? Do you need to min-max your stats to be successful in this game? Definitely not. That was kind of mean. He wasn't even coming at me. Let's see if we can do it against a guy who's who actually wants to fight. So what's nice about the hammer, and I haven't really gotten used to it, it's a much slower weapon, but you know, it allows you to stun enemies to such a degree that I could see how it would be really useful for people to get used to it. But so you can kind of see how you would kind of switch between things here. So that's how that works. It's like, nah, ba, whoop. So we switch that again. So you can see how that 3-hit combo works. So there's just a lot of variety, and the customization, I think, you know, comes in like just the fact that the weapons types are so different. So the other one I have here is a rifle spear. Fuzzy Dunlop, does it seem like there's enough resources to completely upgrade multiple weapons, or do you think you'll just need to stick to 1 or 2 primary weapons? There is plenty of upgrade material. You're going to be able to upgrade all the weapons in the game if you want, probably. You might need to do some farming for the later upgrades, but I don't think it's going to be a concern. You know, obviously to completely level them up, you know, there will be some farming needed, but by and large, I have found that you can cycle between weapons and get a. So people are asking if this area looks the same. It's because it is the same. This is the starting area. We'll jump to a different spot in just a second. So this thing is just kind of a spear, so you got some distance on it, but yes. So it has a gun attached to it. So it does use your ammo, but it allows you to whack something and then cause some damage. And it's also, you'll see, this is a 2-handed weapon, at least in that form. So it goes from a 1-handed to a 2-handed, which, you know, obviously changes how you might end up using it. So if we do this. So you'll see there, that actually caused the enemy to stagger. Actually, we're gonna... So we pull over one of these guys. So it's not stagger for all of them, but it seems like that combo is a pretty interesting way to kind of pull that off so you can get the more difficult moves. So, all right, so we're gonna head back. So we can go check out a different area. Real Jackson says, "Wow, you're decimating these fools." Well, that is largely because I'm facing early area enemies with upgraded equipment from 20 hours in. Rickety Tickety Tabby, does that bell trolling mean tolling mean anything? I think it's probably referencing something in the world, but I have not found the bell toller. I wouldn't be surprised if it's someone that you see later in the game, though. Jack Lap, what starting origin did you pick? I went with military veteran, largely because it started with upgraded strength stats. Sorry, complete mind blank there. All right, so we're gonna head back to the Hunter's Dream, and then we will head over to a different area to show off a little bit more of the environmental scaling. I'd like to do Chalice Dungeons, but we're just not gonna have time to do it tonight. But this is where they kind of unlock. So you see, like, this is kind of where you go to the different areas. I don't know if this is something you'll heal, or if that might be a hint at DLC that's to come. That I'm not sure of. So why don't we do something ridiculous? And we'll jump to an area that is way outside of my level range. But I'll show you guys a cool late area boss that I have no business messing with, but he's really cool looking. So we'll go ahead and we'll at least run by him. Tasty Pixels, I'm looking forward to seeing the cosplay from this game at PAX and Comic-Con. Absolutely. I think it's got such a distinct look that people are going to be aping it immediately. Chris2C2, why do your little skeletons have adorable top hats? There are hidden items in the game that allow you to customize your little skeleton friends. Alright, so let's switch back to the weapons I am normally carrying. I think we can just run over to the boss. Actually, you should see how this character kills you. Oh. Okay, that's not... You weren't supposed to kill me. I wanted that lady to kill me. Anyway, if that little grandma-looking old hag grabs you, she pulls you up by the throat, stabs you 3 times in the neck, and then more or less you are immediately killed. But she does it slowly, like she stabs you once, stabs you again, stabs you a 3rd time, and you can't escape. There's nothing you can do. So once again, the reason I died so quickly was because this is a area that you were not supposed to be in until much later. I just kind of stumbled upon it. And unlocked one of the lanterns, but you're really not supposed to be messing around in this area. Like this is not what I should be doing. But see, like you can see, that guy already took off the vast majority of my health. Now she won't leave me alone. She's literally will not leave me alone. I forget the exact path to the boss. Let's see if we can find it. Oh, nope. Nope. Now I have like 3 of those women chasing me. Okay, it's over here. You see, they don't give up. They don't give up. Aptium, you shouldn't finish your review until you do a SL1 run. SL1 run. I'm gonna finish the game before I review it. That is for sure. If that is your question is asking whether I'm going to finish the game before I do a review, I will make sure to do that. Okay. Alright, not that way. So I'm trying to make my way back around. Oh, yep, creepy. What's up, dude? Working our way around. Ah. Oh! So these are the crystal lizards? So twin bloodstone shards, those are basically what you get after the base level bone shards. Okay, I think I'm going up here. It's been a while since I've been in this area, and I'm trying to make our way to the boss. See? Lady is sneaky. Okay, I think it's around here. I don't think she follows me all the way out here. Let's find out. Grandma! Grandma! I can hear her moving around. Okay, I'm not gonna tempt fate. So you'll see that. Look at that thing. Does that look like a thing you want to fight? Does that look like something you want to mess with? I don't. But I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you, stream. This guy is like 30 levels away of what I should be doing. But I'm gonna fight him. wonder if that might be the trick to him. Oh. I'm gonna purposely let myself die. But I think that might be a boss in which you just want to kind of get under his legs. And because trying to dodge around him seems like that's a losing proposition. But I think maybe getting under his legs might be something. So I'm not supposed to fight that guy. That is so wildly outside of my league. I mean, the thing about the Souls games is that you can go outside of your league. Like you could fight that guy. You could probably beat him. But I'm not going to. And there is sort of a recommended path in these games. But you can always break away from that path and do things out of order. Face things more challenging than the game is maybe setting on for you. Silver Falcon 37, can you show us this two-hand version of the weapon you're using? You press R1. So not every weapon has a two-handed version. Some weapons do, some weapons don't. So the two-handed nature is determined by whether it is a transforming weapon that becomes a two-handed weapon, and in this case, this weapon is not. So R1 is this, R2 is this, L1 because that, and then R1, and then R2. But at no point does that weapon specifically become two-handed. Is there anything else people want to see? Feel free and let me know as we wrap up the stream. I'm going to go head to a different area to give a little sense of the kind of broader aesthetic palette that you can expect from some of the other areas. But Chris 2C2, you don't seem to get as crazy high number of souls as in other games. Is that true or less needed? It feels like the leveling up happens at a rate similar to Demon Souls. So you're leveling up fewer times, but they're more meaningful. But it seems that rate appears to be increasing as I'm getting further in the game. Like, for example, I'm finding enemies that are fairly easy to defeat that give me 4,500 blood echoes. And even though my level ups cost, about 10k or 12k now, I mean, you only have to defeat 3 of those enemies to produce a level up. So I'm finding that obviously there are going to be areas that if you farm you can level far above what you would kind of normally do if you were just casually playing through the game. I find that in general most of these things have been a mixture of Dark Souls and Demon Souls. So this is an area that actually looks a little bit cooler in the daytime. One of your notes was rated fine. Yes. But this is sort of a graveyard area. And you just get like, the kind of overall atmosphere is a lot different. Look at those guys. Look at those buddies. Oh, they're so cute. They're trying to help me out, and they're praying to keep the light going. People asking about some of the other armor I've found. Let's see if I have any on me. So I've currently got the Yharnam Hunter Cap. Let's see, I could switch into doop. Doop. So this allows me to look pretty different. And now I actually get a chance to see my face a little bit. So that's Odetta looking honestly pretty badass. Like, you can kind of, you can mix and match this stuff. But I kind of like the fact that I can see her face. Let's go down and fight some of these enemies. These ones are extremely creepy. Some of the weirder enemies I have come across in the game, it's just a bunch of older women running around with cleavers for a reason that I can't quite describe. Boom! Oh, okay. Alright. Slow it down there, Grandma. This is an enemy that's got sort of like a fire type associated with its weapon. Oh, I think I've been over here. This is new. What's up?
Oh, a hunter of beasts, are you? Glory be. You know not.
It's intelligent design. Does that beasthood stat have anything to do with becoming a werewolf? It does.
The hours
I just don't know how it works.
And the beasts, more than I can count. Not even death. Oh, but step lightly round to the right of the great cathedral and seek an ancient, shrouded church. The gift of the Godhead will grant you strength. Yes, I'm unquestionably certain.
Weird.
Not even death offers seek you the ancient.
I know what that means. I'm not going to explain what it is. I'll let people figure that out for themselves, but that's an interesting new wrinkle. Jeff M133, are you feeling any fatigue on this style of game, jumping straight into it after Demon Souls? I'm not. This game is different enough that it feels tremendously different, and I enjoyed the fact that Demon Souls basically just acted as a primer and allowed me to close the loop on playing these types of games. And so I'm picking up a lot of things right there called gemstones. So I'll show. I'll show exactly what those do in just a second. Once I've cleared this area out. So gemstones show up here. Actually, they'll be more clear right here. So. Look at my stats screen. How do I get those to show up? Oh, here we go. So blood gem effects, attack up against beasts, plus 12.6. Physical attack up, 2.7. Boost rally potential, 1.8. So basically, you know, you equip these slots on different weapons in order to customize them to a deeper level. And I haven't gotten anything as fantastic as you know, giving it fire attributes, but I know that those exist in the game, and so that allows, even if you know, the game has less loot, because it definitely has less loot, you're allowed to customize that to a deeper level through like blood gems, and the runes are also to the right of that, and those runes have their own special set of effects, and that allows you to get even deeper into the customization of the items that you come across. Taco the Rogue, are there any shields at all, or is it all guns all the time? It is all guns all the time. Technically, early on, the game does give you access to a shield, but it's useless, and the item description is basically telling you that it's useless and you shouldn't use it. So that is just not what this game is about. If you relied on the sword and shield in the Souls games, like me, that's what I did, you are not going to have a great time until you start adjusting to what Bloodborne is trying to push you towards, which is a much more active combat style, one that is much more rooted in. Hey, buddy. Whoa. Shit. Well, messed that up. Still managed to pull it off, though. I'll take it. This is a section of the game I haven't checked out before. Or maybe not. Actually, I think I have checked this out. I'm not sure I've gone up that section, though. Chris C2 just seems like the armor doesn't is maybe more about aesthetic, less about stats. I feel like that kind of might be the case so far, but I haven't messed with it enough to really kind of come down with a definitive opinion on that, so I have to temper my thoughts on it. Oh, I actually have been up here before. I think this might be where we call it. I've played a lot of Bloodborne. I've talked a lot about Bloodborne today. I'm going to be playing a lot of Bloodborne in the future. I might pick up and just play this when I'm done with this, but I need to kind of take a break because that has been a little over 2 hours of the first hours and my 20+ hour character in Bloodborne. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. If you were a newcomer to this channel, thanks for tuning in. You can subscribe here on Twitch. The archive of this will go up on YouTube at youtube.com/PatrickKlepek. You'll see it in the background image when the video and the stream come to a close. But I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm going to continue playing Bloodborne, but I want to keep streaming Bloodborne. I guess I could just pick up with my current character, but I think I might play a second character, doing a second stream that is complementary to the main character I've established. So that we can do some more streaming, because I love streaming Souls. I love the community around the game. I love the feeling of victory with doing it with a bunch of online friends. So, you know, we'll see where that goes. So thanks everyone for tuning in. You can read my impressions over at Kotaku.com. And like I said, tune in here on Twitch and on YouTube to see the other stuff that I'm up to. But thanks everyone for tuning in. It's been the biggest day for streaming yet, and it's awesome. And hopefully we can continue that in the future.